we have some massive updates behind the Terraport hack that we need to dive into. First of all, I want to be very clear. I hope the community can recover the funds hacked in Terraport. It seems like it's about $2 million of community money that ended up being stolen in the Terraport hack. Second, I want those responsible, either directly those who hacked Terraport or those who showed extreme negligence that led to the hack. I want them to be held responsible for their actions. First off, there are two Twitter threads I want to go over where people showed a bunch of evidence publicly which has not been shown by the Terraport team right now, unfortunately. Now, this thread is quite technical. It has a lot of different evidence and technical resources. Since a lot of us, probably including myself, are not that technical, I'm just going to show you guys the stuff that hopefully we can all understand. Now, this code for an LP pool, the Terra USTC LP pool, first started at this code ID number, which is 7069. And this is important because when you change something on the chain, it gets a new incremental code ID, and 7069 was the first code ID used by the Terraport team /dev/admin to create the Terra/USTC pair. And so the contract was implemented that way from day one, which in theory allowed these different addresses that drain liquidity pools to steal all that liquidity. It wasn't hacked or modified, which is important because some people are thinking, okay, well, maybe the team put the code out, then that ended up getting hacked and people ended up changing the code so that they could withdraw the funds. But it seems like instead it was not modified. Instead, that original code allowed these three addresses to withdraw all the LP funds. So now we have to get into one particular wallet right here. As you guys can see, this wallet address, and we're going to circle back to this wallet address later because there's a lot of interconnected things I'm going to show you. But this wallet address, remember, this thing ends in 388GX. Now, this is important because this is the person who is the contract owner, admin, the person who created the LPs on day one. Now, this person who created the LP pools, apparently they were actually just testing out some code since January, creating new tokens, testing code, all on the main net. And what's nice is that because of the way the blockchain works, people can actually go back and verify these different tests he did. Then there's some technical aspects that we're going to skip over here, but something I do want to highlight is that, spoiler alert, this ID number ended up being used to later migrate all the LP pools, and this different address that ends in 4R04, which we're going to circle back to again, was the former admin of the liquidity pools. Now, remember those wallets that we just covered that are supposedly the ones behind the contract addresses for the liquidity pools? I'm going to move myself here because this other wallet in this bottom corner is one of the hackers, but it doesn't have any connection. So I'm going to move myself here. There we go. So we can see these different wallets. First of all, right here, that's our first guy that we talked about, 388GX. And then we also have 4R04, two wallets that we talked about earlier. And then there's another dev wallet that we're going to circle back to in just a minute because there's other evidence that other people researched about this other wallet. Now, when I say dev wallet, it's important to understand these are wallets that were interacting with Terraport contracts. We're testing other contracts on the Terra Luna Classic ecosystem before the official full launch of Terraport. And so these are wallets that are suspected to be dev wallets, but this is not confirmed yet. However, you know, that one Twitter post ended up confirming or trying to confirm that apparently one of these wallets actually created the liquidity pool contract. So I think it's safe to say that these are in fact dev wallets. Now, right here, we have one of the hacker wallets that actually drained a ton of value from the liquidity pool. We can see that wallet above me right here, ending in 8DQ number 2, and you can see that value that ended up being drained, about 5 million USTC that got drained from the liquidity pool the other day, and that wallet ended up actually getting paid from these different dev wallets before they did the hack. So again, if we take a look at this wallet, you can see there are these different transactions right in here. These ended up coming from these other dev wallets or suspected dev wallets. You can see, first of all, 388GX ended up sending 1,000 Terra Luna Classic and 0.1 USTC. Now, that's not a lot of money. Let's get that clear here. This was before the hack happened, but what it seems like is that they're essentially giving this wallet funds. That way they could then transact on the network and do the malicious stuff that ended up happening from this hacker wallet. And we also have a connection from 4R04, ended up sending 0.5 USDC over to this wallet that ended up funding the hacker wallet. And then there's another suspected dev wallet up here ending in JG. And then there's another hacker wallet right here ending in JQED that ended up sending 5 LUNC to this other dev wallet. right here, as well as 2,500 LUNC over to the hacker wallet. So a lot of things going on here, but in conclusion, what's happening here is we have 3 different suspected dev wallets that were interacting with contracts. It seems like at least one of them actually created the LP pools for Terraport, and they ended up sending funds before the hack to this other wallet that had been freshly created, which is something kind of strange, right? Maybe you send some Terra Luna Classic to your friend, something like that, but in that case, they still know who this is, who did this. But in this instance, this wallet ended up being created, and they sent funds into that wallet, and then the hack occurred just a short while after. And so is it the people who own these different wallets that sent funds into this hacker wallet that did the hack? I'm not entirely sure. Maybe they're friends of the person who did the hack, but somehow they are directly connected and to a high degree, since those were the first transactions going into this wallet. Now, Cosmos Rex right here ended up finding one of these transactions that I just showed you guys from that JQED wallet into our Dairy Queen hacker, DQ hacker here. Undeniable evidence that these different wallets sent these different transactions, and you guys can actually have that. I'm going to link this presentation at the end so you guys can see all of these proof of transactions. You don't have to trust me, but it doesn't look good. It looks like this is potentially an inside job. And so when we combine this evidence of these transactions that were sent from these wallets that appear to be developers over to the hacker wallet, or potentially the inside rug pull wallet, we don't really know what this is at this point. We combine that with the evidence that I had been researching the other week, we get a very interesting picture painted here. Let's dive into some of the evidence that I found the other week that were just concerning things about Terraport. And I'm even going to show you guys Rexy's, one of the leaders in the Terraport team, what his response was to this evidence. Okay, so with Terraport, we have some screenshots here from the white paper. There should be initially in the different sale amounts, there should be in the private sale 40 million tokens allocated to that, 80 million to investor sale, and so on and so on. However, the reality on the blockchain is very different. Now, somebody ended up doing some querying on the blockchain and said supposedly over 70 million tokens are in the private sale. You can see these different numbers here, but again, there's only supposed to be 40 million tokens. So what's going on with these other 30 million tokens? Well, I actually went ahead and confirmed on the blockchain, over 50 million tokens are labeled as private sale on the blockchain. That's confirmable, which is a problem because that exceeds the 40 million that's supposed to be there. And this is a problem for 2 different reasons. The first problem is the different price, right? So in the sale, you had these different price points. And so if you bought in early, you got a discounted price. But the other problem is this vesting yield, where if you're part of the private sale, the tokens that are locked up that have not been vested yet, they're earning APR every single day. The private sale tokens are earning higher APR. And I went ahead and confirmed that those wallets that I looked at on the blockchain, they were earning the higher APR yields for the private sale. By the way, if you guys appreciate the fact that I basically didn't sleep the other night to try and bring you this information, please consider subscribing down below as I bring you more information about this hack. Now, this means that everyone else, let's say that you bought into pre-sale number 1, you're classified correctly down here as pre-sale 1, you are effectively being diluted because some people are earning these private sale yields at 90%. They're earning more yield than they should be earning. They should be in one of these other categories, whether it's the private pre-sale 1 or pre-sale 2, they should be in a different category. Here's a zoomed in transaction of what that looks like on the blockchain. You can see it is labeled sale type pre-sale number 2, and it seems like the contract that actually is determining these different yield amounts or APRs that you get is based on how it is labeled right here. Was not able to fully confirm that, but based on my research on the blockchain, looking at dozens of different wallets, this is what it looks like. I ended up reaching out to Rexy's, one of the leaders in the Terraport team, to try and figure out what's going on here, hopefully get some answers. And he asked that I don't take his answers out of context. So what I'm going to do in this presentation that I'm going to post publicly, I'm going to have the entire screenshots of the entire conversation for you guys to review. There's a couple key things though that I want to highlight in this video. One of the first things I asked him is, do you know who on the team would have had access to edit the list of wallets? And he responded, the results of an audit will be made publicly available along with any action plans to address any opportunities for improvement that may occur. And then he went on about this audit for quite a bit. You can see this other screenshot. He said, personally, I'm excited to see the results of the audit and how we may improve Terraport. And then we talked about what Certic will do when they go through the actual auditing process right here. So kind of dodging the question in my opinion here, because I didn't really initially start asking about the audit. He went there. So then I followed up with that and asked, okay, do we have an ETA on that audit? And that's when he said, personally excited to see the results of the audit, and eventually finally got some answers as to what the plan was with this audit. Now in this middle screenshot right here, he said the audit will be available ASAP. It has been ordered for approximately 1 month, and I would hope within a month it'll be completed and the report will be finalized. finalized. So it seems like from this post of his, they have not done the audit yet, but they were hoping to have the audit come soon, which as we know now, unfortunately, the Terraport ecosystem ended up being hacked. This was the Thursday before the hack, so this was before that occurred. But yeah, kind of unfortunate that the audit was not done ahead of time. I asked for his permission to share this conversation publicly with you guys, and I also asked him this question very directly. If I presented you with evidence that seems to suggest more than 40 million tokens are labeled as sale type private and receiving the 90% APR that is reserved for private sale investors, would the team be willing to investigate and act thoroughly in timely manner to resolve the issue? And he responded in this third screenshot by saying, as I've said before, any issues not specific to an individual investors should be brought to the attention of the auditors. And then he had these other paragraphs that you guys are welcome to go ahead and read. I don't feel like it's relevant. I feel like it's kind of a generic response here. I think the bid story is actually the current success that the LUNC community members and investors are enjoying and how Terraport can create a positive future for Terra Luna Classic. Again, not really related to my question here, just this other stuff that's, in my opinion, kind of fluff. So I ended up following up and asking another question just to clarify. The team is only interested in issues specific to an individual investor, trying to verify what he's trying to say here, and every other issue should be directed to the auditors, not the team. He responded and said, from our perspective, what you have identified, we are fully aware of and requires no further action. Therefore, in this instance, because this is our view, if this is not satisfying, then an independent party would be the next place to go. And then he went on about something else, saying what is more concerning to us is that this report was used to raise FUD for the project, and Terra Rebels made false representations and accusations to us at launch directly. Now, this was in regards to a different article that ended up being posted that showed some security issues in Terraport, which, as we know now, apparently there was a lack of security across the board in the Terraport ecosystem. And so after being asked directly as to if they would investigate an issue here where there's essentially a mismatch, where the white paper says there should only be 40 million tokens that are earning this 90% yield, but in reality is way more tokens than that are earning this yield. He said the team is aware of that and they don't see that as a problem. So if you invested in Terraport, we'll just make this as clear as possible and cut through all the BS. If you invested in Terraport, maybe you paid 4 cents, 3.5 cents, they do not care that those allocations are earning an additional yield and effectively diluting your investment. MEXC is aware of that and they don't think that's an issue. They said that there's no further action needed about that issue. This is very concerning to me because if I was in his position and someone came to me and said, hey, your project, the white paper says one thing, but in reality something else is happening here, I would want to investigate that. I would ask, yes, please send over the transaction information to this email address or whatever it is. That way I could research it. But instead, it seemed like he decided to dance around the question instead and not actually acknowledge that this is something worth looking into. And maybe he could say, oh, well, I don't think that's true, whatever. I could then send him the transaction information. Instead, he said, we're aware of this and no further action is needed. Now, this is really strange because I looked into other issues with the Terraport ecosystem. There's a lot more going on here with different tokenomic issues. So there's that private sale thing, but there's also a problem with the potential marketing fund. Now, referrals are supposed to come out of the marketing budget. Only 30% of the marketing budget is supposed to be released, and the rest, 70%, is supposed to be vested over 24 months. Any unused marketing funds were supposed to be burned at launch. You can see the marketing pool is supposed to be 100 million tokens, and then right behind me is that information of 30% tokens will be released. Any unused funds will be burned at launch, but this is very different than what it seems to have actually happened. Now, on the Terraport website, one of the code or one of the issues for security is that they had a list of everyone who purchased into the Terraport, the 4 different sale rounds, and the referral rewards. Now, it seems like the marketing allocation was labeled as referral, and this has not been confirmed by the team, but it appears so because the referrals add up to basically 100 million. It's about 1,000 over, and I'll touch on that maybe later on. But the biggest allocation out of this was only 62 million, not 70 million. So if this is in fact the marketing fund, we have a problem here, which I believe it is, because we add up all the referrals plus these other transactions that are in this marketing, or I should say referral allocation, you get the total balance of what the marketing fund should be. Now, what's strange about what's going on with this marketing budget is that you can see these smaller amounts being distributed to a bunch of different wallets, but there's also some massive amounts. We have down here at the bottom 7 million, 8 million, 6 million, 16 million, and then that 62 million that I believe is supposed to be the 70 million that's locked up. But these other massive multi-million token allocations, and what's strange is that these 3 that I labeled the 7, 8, and 6 million allocations, they end up receiving large token allocations that they claimed day one and they sent to one wallet. So all 3 of these allocations end up getting funneled into a single wallet. And so I'm not sure who controls this other wallet that all these tokens end up getting funneled to, but that's about 10 million tokens, or 10% of the marketing pool that got funneled over to this wallet, valued at about $2 million before the hack. But it doesn't end there. This one wallet where those 3 marketing allocations end up getting funneled to, they also got another 1.4 million Terra or 1.42 million Terra from 3 other wallets that were actually labeled as private sale wallets, as you can see by these underlines down below. And that totaled to another 4.26 million Terra that ended up being funneled into this one wallet. So at the end of the day here, this one wallet was getting Terra coming in from 6 different allocations, 3 allocations in marketing and 3 in the private sale. This meant that day one, with the 50% initial unlock, this wallet had access to about 14.5 million Terra tokens, worth about $3 million before the hack. And then there was another 14.5 million that was actually locked up. This means that about 20 million total tokens from marketing could be controlled by this one wallet potentially. That's 20% of the marketing pool. Currently, 10 million of this is unlocked and in that wallet, which is 10% of the marketing pool, which just does not make sense. Why is this one wallet controlling currently about 10% of the marketing pool that has been unlocked currently, 20% of the marketing pool total? Because this white paper says very clearly initially only 30% of the marketing tokens will be released. And that means 70% should be locked up. We have confirmed so far, it seems like 62 million tokens is what's set aside for that, and not 70 million. And in addition to that, any unused marketing funds will be burned at launch. It's not being burned. They are sending this money into that wallet and ended up actually being put into liquidity pools. And there was another strange wallet that just didn't make a lot of sense. This one wallet ended up getting exactly 1,000 Terra on every allocation. So the 4 different sales plus the referral, and it was at the bottom of every single list in the code. You can see how this looks. It is a mix mash of all these different wallets and all these different allocations. Right here behind me, this is the referral allocation, but you guys can see at the very end of that allocation, we have this wallet right here. And if I actually search this wallet up, you can see it has 5 results. It is at the end of every single different allocation, which is strange because if, let's say, there are a couple wallets in here that are duplicates, maybe somebody bought into the private sale and then they bought into public sale 1. Their wallet is in a different position on both of those lists. It's not at the same spot. It's in a different spot depending on when they bought in. And so the fact that this one wallet is at the end of every single one is just very strange to me. And I know the value of this 5,000 Terra is not that extreme of value, but this is what led me to believe that maybe somebody went in and actually changed these different allocations for millions of the marketing pool, and maybe somebody self-allocated millions of these tokens from the marketing pool. And now that we have word that these different dev wallets ended up sending funds over to the hacker's wallet, I think that reinforces the possibility that this is an inside job. Somebody on the team ended up actually committing this hack, and they potentially allocated initially for themselves a ton of Terra tokens in case they were not able to do this. It's at the end of the day, there are discrepancies between the white paper and there are questionable things happening in Terraport that just don't make sense. The Terraport team, in my opinion, needs to come forward. They need to clarify what's going on here. We need answers as to why these allocations don't make sense. Why are these dev wallets sending funds over to the wallet that ended up committing this hack or potential rug pull? What is going on here? We need these answers. And the problem is the longer that they wait and the more that we research as a community, the more suspicious this is all looking. It's at the end of the day, a lot of this is speculation. What we can prove is on the blockchains, these different wallets that were interacting with contracts before Terraport went live ended up sending funds over to this hacker wallet. We can confirm that the initial sale is supposed to have 40 million tokens. Instead, on the blockchain with that private sale, it's looking like it's in excess of 40 million tokens that are earning a higher yield than what they should be earning. We can confirm that what MEXC said here. We can also confirm on the blockchain that it seems like these different wallets are receiving tons of marketing tokens, but we don't know what's going on with these millions of Terra tokens. And so if you guys appreciate all this research, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe down below. I basically didn't sleep for a couple days trying to put this all together for you guys, trying to figure out what's been going on. There's been hours of research of things that are not shown here because some things didn't pan out. I've looked at hundreds of transactions over the past couple days, but these are the key highlights that I want to show you. Also, if you guys appreciate this, please consider becoming a channel member to support me as I continue looking into what's going on here and trying to bring answers to those who are hurt by this hack.